I've been out here for some time now, hearing these waves breaking down to the ground. I've been out here for some time now.
Hello, Sugary Lab pals. How are you doing? Sorry I haven't posted video in a while. Back then, I was actually recovering and still am recovering from a really bad, I had some infections back then, and then I cleared that up, and then straight away, as soon as I felt better, as you can hear from my sound, and excuse me for that, I actually have a really bad cold as well. It's probably the worst one so far because I've never had like issues where I cough up a bit of red as well, but it's just like a really bad cold, and unfortunately it's been weighing me down, so I haven't really been able to have the energy to bake or do all sorts of stuff, but I have been planning for a while that I wanted to do some more sort of like food tasting videos. I mean, if there's any excuse for just finding more nice places and eating really nice sweet stuff, I would be all in for it. And today I wanted to talk about there's a place that's very close to where I live that's called Black Velvet. Because I like to use online apps for delivering food sometimes when I'm really busy and tired. I actually have seen it pop up there before, and there's not that many dessert places on these apps. So Black Velvet is essentially a shop that does designed cupcakes and cakes for sort of catering occasions, for special occasions. So I'm assuming that you can go into the shop and it looks very fancy. You can talk to the staff, probably talk about like anything more specific, like if you needed a wedding occasion, then maybe you would need to talk to them and have a sit down, have an appointment. Or you could probably go in and just pick up a dozen of cupcakes. What I've done today is I've ordered the selection that they have on the menu on the app, which is basically just divided into the ones of boxes. So my one was 12 dozens of cupcakes that they've selected for me, because there's no sort of way to select individual ones on there as far as I can tell. It was just under $50 or so, Australian dollars, and they're pretty standard size cupcakes, but gourmet designs. I wouldn't say it's exactly cheap, but if they are sort of fancy cupcakes to begin with, on top of the fact that baking ingredients are just not cheap, so you always have to remember that. And really, it's not meant to be a treat that's for one person, so $47 is pretty expensive for one person's treat, but if you were sharing that for an occasion and sharing it with friends, then it should be good. Anyway, so I'm super excited, and I hope you are, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you like these kind of stuff, to let me know, because I also want to do donuts at a place that I haven't tried yet, but unfortunately they're very limited with which days they actually can deliver and do ordering. Otherwise you have to go to the place, so I might have to wait around for that one a bit more. But let's start with the cupcakes, right? And straight off the bat, I think there's a few that I like. When I was cutting them in half just to make the video a bit easier and to see the texture of the inside, which I love seeing when I watch a video like this, the first thing I notice is their cupcakes very soft, which is really good, because there's a lot of places that are specialized in cupcakes, but because you're constantly producing them, letting them sit on the shelf, and if you don't have a turnover rate high enough, and if you don't manage them properly, generally they look very crusty and very hard. And I guess if you are spending that much money, it is very sad. So it's a bit of that management thing as well. And straight off the bat, I think there's quite a few different flavors that I'm really excited about. Just one, either because of the look or the flavor, I think is going to be a great combination. Sorry about my voice as well if it doesn't come across very clear, because this is as best as I can do, but I just really want to do something fun for a bit, because with low energy and everything and being sick, you know how it feels. There's one where it's kind of like a little bit of caramel drizzled in the top of the piping. I think that looks really nice. It's something probably that's actually another thing I want to talk about. I think the only thing they should probably improve on is for these deliveries, they look amazing like this and they're really, really nicely packaged. I think people would love it, but it would be nice if it somehow included the flavors so that people would know what flavors they really liked, and then they can go back and get more next time in the shop, or if they were going to order something specific for like events and stuff, at least they know what flavor they wanted to work with, because these didn't come with any sort of labels for flavor wise, so you can either pick out the really, really classics, or I guess some of them are either very self-explanatory then, but we'll see once we start trying it. There's a coffee one with a coffee bean, just simple white frosting on top. From what I can tell, most of the cupcake flavors seem more on the standard side, so they're either like the chocolate ones or velvet, red velvet, or like just plain vanilla or plain fruity, so they look kind of that white, black or red kind of color. So they haven't gone anything really crazy, and then they just play around with the flavors like the frostings, etc. on top. There's a caramel kind of drizzle with popcorn. That one I'm really, really, really into. Red velvet, of course. I'd be curious to see how good they do theirs. There's also the same style as the caramel one, but with like fudge chocolate sauce instead, and sort of a tinge of chocolate color on the frosting. There's also a passion fruit one, which looks really nice. So all in all, these 12. There's a lot of variety that they've managed to pick out for you. I don't know if I managed to explain before, but yeah, so when you pick out the 12, the dozen box, they basically pick out the flavors for you. And then there's a larger box, which is, I think, up to 24 or something. But yeah, so let's give it a go and try it. So I have to say straight up though, there's a couple with just those kind of like colored sugar or sugar dustings on top, so crunchy sugar basically, fancy sugar for decorating. I'm not actually a big fan of these kind of like cupcakes, or like these kind of decorations, because I just find it's just eating straight up sugar, and so not terrible, but it's not usually something that I'm very excited about. So I hope there's a little bit more interesting stuff than that. It's super, this makes me wonder how fresh their cupcakes are, because it's so fluffy and so soft, so a really big plus on that. Frosting was easy to cut. It wasn't super crusty. You can tell that it's just been sitting for a tiny bit of time. Probably soon after piping they delivered it or had it displayed, so they're making things very, very fresh here. So they must be quite popular and just really maintaining the standard. So this one looks like it's probably just a plain vanilla cupcake with some sugar dusting on top, so let's try. Ooh. You hear all the crunch of the sugar. Yep, so sometimes you also get really fluffy kind of cake recipes, but then they can be a bit dry. This cake isn't like that. It's very nice, very fluffy, a really nice sturdy texture. You can see also, like when you're looking at it, that all the air development inside the batter must have been really nice and even. Just lots of nice air bubbles in the holes for the cake structure. It's actually really nice with the crunch. Does give it a bit more texture, so it makes it a little bit more interesting. So they've kept it really simple, but they made it really work. So it's just kind of like that kind of nice texture you get from when you eat really, actually like just standard cheap kind of American buttercream, where you get that kind of little bit of crunch that gives you a bit of nostalgia. But the frosting itself is so smooth, so silky, so nice and creamy. Really nice texture and really just silky smooth. Really melts in your mouth as soon as you eat it with the cake. I think this one is actually vanilla cupcake with a little bit of cream cheese frosting, but they've toned it down so it's not ridiculously strong and doesn't overwhelm the vanilla flavor. Ooh, excuse me. And yeah, and it's really, really nice. It's just perfectly balanced. Really nice, simple cupcake, but really works. It's great because I haven't had cupcakes in a very long time and I haven't made any in ages too, and I've been really meaning to make some. So this really kind of offers a bit of inspiration as well for like flavors or presentation, and the fact that cupcakes can be really simple and they don't have to be over the top and overly done. Like doing like freak shake presentations or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong, but sometimes it really comes down to also eating these, and if they're simple you'll want to eat them more often, and that's what I'm really, really sometimes all about when it comes to ordering food like this. It was definitely cream cheese. That's a really nice cream cheese frosting. It's like, it's really not overly buttery, which I find sometimes when I make cream cheese frostings they can be a little bit like that, and it's just a big mouthful of it makes it really nice and cream cheesy, but it's just not overly strong as well, and it's just the right amount of balance and flavor. It's a really good job. So next, let's move on to the other one, which looks a bit like a vanilla cupcake with another kind of white-based frosting, and it's got a little bit of, seems it's got a little bit of caramel drizzle, but a big piping of like chocolate fudge and then some cocoa powder dusted on top. So let's see if this is just maybe straight up chocolate fudge with a vanilla kind of flavor pairing. Alright, excited. Ooh, so much sweet. Didn't quite get the saucy part, but so far it tastes a bit like the last one, like the exact same combination. So the chocolate sauce, after I bit more right into it, rather than just eating everything else, definitely has that kind of almost like hot chocolate syrup kind of based flavor. It's just very it's like when you kind of melt down the chocolate powder for making hot chocolate, and you get a really nice thick syrup with the right consistency, and you can use that to decorate cups and drizzle all over like milkshakes and stuff. So it kind of tastes like that. So it makes me wonder if the powder on top is kind of like those kind of chocolate powder, because it seemed like it was tasting kind of sweet rather than the, say, unprocessed Dutch cocoa powder. You know what? It's not. It's actually not chocolate powder. It's actually really nice. It's kind of like chocolate malt powder that they put on top. So almost like Milo or something like that. It's really nice. I'm going to try and get a bite of everything. That's really nice. The malt powder really kind of just melds everything together and really lifts it up. It just makes it so much more creamy and so much more nicer. I think they've added another kind of something to the drizzle. Looks a bit more sort of like almost caramel or honey in color, so I'm not too sure what that is, but it makes it really work together. It's really nice. That's a lot of cake. It's only number 2. Need some water first. Okay, so we're going to move on to the chocolate one. This one's the one with a bit of chocolate tinge, chocolate fudgy kind of sauce in the middle. One of the ones I was super excited about. Ooh. Oh yeah, this cake feels like it's even more more soft and fluffy and a bit more moist than the other one. Alright, let's try it. I have to say, compared to the last one, excuse me, I think that malt chocolate flavor one actually was much better because there was so much surprise to it, and it was so simple, but it really worked, and there was so much flavor in there. For this one, it's actually more like less intense chocolate, but like a light chocolate flavor. Really nice chocolate drizzle. There's just a hint of that kind of chocolate flavor inside the cupcake, so that's not full of vanilla. Texture-wise, it's actually, I think I prefer the plain vanilla more than this one. Let's try the frosting on its own. Yeah, the frosting's not quite as interesting in this one. It's just kind of like plain, and I wouldn't even call it that kind of quite cocoa-y or chocolatey or artificial chocolate. Doesn't seem to quite stray in any of those directions. So overall it tastes together like a really nice chocolate cupcake, but it's not quite anything I was really hoping for, I guess. So this is the first one that's kind of a bit of a miss for me, but still a really enjoyable cupcake. Ooh. Getting pretty full. I have another theory as well, maybe I'm working it in the order that it was assembled in the box. Maybe eating the chocolate malt cupcake wasn't the best choice. Following it up with like a chocolatey cupcake maybe hindered the flavor a bit because they're all similar type. Alright, I'm gonna guess this one might not be just vanilla because it doesn't look quite exactly the same. It might actually be more maybe lemony kind of flavored cupcake. This one is just, again, plain white kind of frosting, and it has really vibrant pastel yellow sugar crystals on top. Let's see. Might actually be wrong. Yeah. So this one should be vanilla cupcake again. So they kept it pretty simple and systematic. So this one is just vanilla cupcake again. The frosting itself though does have lemon flavor inside, so it's quite a bit tangy and a little tiny bit of that citrus hit as soon as you bite into it. So it's just enough, quite quite a lot of it. With a similar kind of like method or presentation, I guess, I would say the vanilla cupcake does it a lot better. This one kind of could probably use a little bit more citrus or something a little bit more different, maybe like lemon curd piped on the top with the drizzle, like the chocolate drizzles. I think something like that might work really well for this cupcake. Or for the sugar crystal kind of thing. But then again, that could be also my personal preferences. So just pop this one down. Getting pretty full, so I unfortunately don't want to eat them all right now and get really sick and then not be able to enjoy it later. So let's move on. The other one's another sugar crystal theme, so I might actually skip that one in case I get too full and I can't enjoy the other ones, and I'll come back to that one. So let's hop on over to maybe doing the popcorn drizzle one. Okay, so this one's kind of like a coffee flavored, coffee colored kind of sponge, and really nice dulce de leche and like nice soft kind of sauce, caramel sauce, with some kind of browned or caramelized popcorn on top. Yeah, I can't really tell what the cupcake flavor might be itself, but the frosting itself definitely smells really nice. So let's give it a go. Let's try. Take a deep bite. So the cupcake base, the cake itself is probably exactly the same color and the same flavor as the chocolate drizzle one. Not really my favorite, like I said before. I feel like it just needs a little bit more oomph of something to kind of taste a little bit more less subtle and have a stronger direction, because the flavors are actually all strong, but in the sense that you don't taste them as much unless you have them separately to really bring out the flavor sometimes, and some of them work really well together, but for this one not so much exactly. But the frosting, they seem to hit on the spot every single time. The drizzle, the frosting itself, slightly tangy, really nice and sweet, really nice texture from the sauce. And then once you hit the popcorn bits, if they had more, that would be even better, because the popcorn bits really brought out this like strong umami, but like slightly buttery, and just it's really nice with that. I just wish the cake to pair with it was done a little bit darker or a little bit different, otherwise it would have been a really nice one as well. Okay, pop you down too. Alright, I'm gonna have to go smaller in the next pieces, but let's move on to red velvet. Something that's a classic, and you're gonna have to be really worried about getting those wrong. What I did really love about the way they did the red velvet was that initially when you looked at it, before unwrapping the wrapper on the sides, you can't really tell that there was anything that special about it. But it was literally just, that's what a red velvet initially was. Before the color was even invented to become so vibrant red, it was more like a red tinged dark kind of chocolate cake with cream cheese frosting, and they kept it really simple. There's no sort of special garnish on top. It's just like presenting it as is, saying that it's like going to be amazing, flawless. So hopefully that's that. Let's try it. Wow, that's really cream cheesy. Okay, I'm not getting quite as much chocolate flavor, but getting a lot of amazing texture from the cake itself. It's like almost like you get the frosting coming through, but then the cake itself is just really, really, really moist. So you get that really nice, almost slightly dense but really fluffy and moist kind of texture all combined together. It's a very nice cake. All right, let's try the passion fruit and just something a bit more fruity to kind of lift things up a bit because it's getting pretty sweet now. And the sun's coming in on my cupcakes, so they're kind of like melting down a bit. Oh, this is nice. It smells like one of those really fruity pops with a lot of like passion fruit pulp in there. So the flavors just like pops into your nostril, really lifts everything up, super zesty, really got that kind of like citrusy kind of flavor to it. Again, I think it's probably a vanilla cupcake paired with that. I'm not sure if the frosting has cream cheese and stuff in there. If it does, it would probably make some sense. If it doesn't, it would probably work really well as well. It's a cream cheese frosting again. So I think what they've done in this one, it's a little underwhelming in the sense that I think it would have been maybe nicer if they swirled the pulp or whatever topping they did for the passion fruit inside, because you only get a little bite of, unfortunately the part I cut, most of the sauce is actually on the other half, and there is a little bit sinking into the bottom as I cut it, but I'm getting mostly aroma over flavor and mostly just like a cream cheese and vanilla cupcake again. So it kind of makes it not so special after trying it. So like I said, it's a little underwhelming. This one isn't actually as great. Not my favorite. So I've got only a few left to go, but I might just try one more because some of them were a little underwhelming by this point now, and I'm getting really, really full. 12 cupcakes. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but they are regular sized cupcakes, and that is quite a lot of sugar to work through for one person as well. So I'm gonna try the coffee one because I was really, really excited about this one. Smells really nice. The whole thing smells really nice, like that kind of freshly brewed coffee flavor that you associate with in like a nice frothy cup of cappuccino. Just really sweet, slightly aromatic. It's got that caffeine laden kind of flavor to it. Really nice. So let's give it a go. I'm gonna bite straight into this one. Oops. Probably look really weird, but what I was trying to do was I was trying to see if I can smell that, the coffee flavor, the really nice coffee flavor. It's kind of like when you go to like Asian cake shops. Our coffee sponge has a very strong essence, especially like Swiss rolls and the coffee cream. They smell exactly like this kind of flavoring. I was just trying to smell whether it was coming from the cake or was it mostly coming from the frosting like most of the other cakes so far. And yeah, I think the cupcake itself, again, with this color, it's one of those chocolate cakes, the same one as all the other two that I was talking about. Again, wasn't my favorite in terms of the cake itself, but the whole thing came together really well for this one because of the coffee flavor being so dominating, but so smooth and rich and creamy and really, really tasty. It really, really works for this frosting. Let's see. Yeah, because the flavor is so strong, it really makes this slightly tangy kind of frosting. I think it's cream cheese again. No, I don't think this one has cream cheese, but it really transforms this frosting into something else and really makes it something of its own. Again, looks very simple with just like the piping and a little coffee bean on top, but really, really, really makes a lasting impression for this one. So this one's one of the ones that I think is really, really nice. Really does capture the eye with its simple sort of presentation and the flavors. Really, really good. Alright, well, I think I'm really, really full now, so I'm unfortunately at my limits, so I'm going to probably have to come back to some of these a bit later. But overall, I think if you like cupcakes, I think that was a really, really good experience. It's a well spent $50 with 12 choices of cupcakes that they've selected for you. They obviously have kept the procedure probably relatively simple in the way they produce it, with similar sort of cupcake bases in terms of the sponge and the cake, but have managed to keep it nice and fresh, so it gives you really good texture. If they were really looking at elevating it to another level, then obviously they would probably go able more into, say, if you know Cupcake Gemma's channel, a shop like that where you could put in some syrups or some fillings in the middle, holding them out. Obviously it takes it to a very different level and there will be a lot more effort involved, but that would be able to make the cupcakes a little bit more diverse. Obviously these cupcakes are aimed to be quite gourmet and quite simplified in a sense as well, so kind of that kind of clean cut simple look. So I think that's what they're probably going for. So for what they are doing, it is a pretty solid, I think for me, an overall experience with the packaging, the food, the flavor, the texture, the freshness. Probably like an 8 out of 10. So
I've been out here for some time now, hearing these waves breaking down to the ground. I've been out here for some time now, watching these waves breaking down to nothing. And sometimes I feel just like one of those waves building up and breaking down.
So yeah, I think an 8 out of 10 is a pretty good overall roundup of what I think of the experience. 12 cupcakes is quite a lot to work through, especially when they're the standard size, no matter how fresh. There was a lot of different flavors that they were going for, which I thought was a really good diversity, but it would be more interesting and a fun experience to eat, and more tasty, more sort of impression lasting if there was a bit more to the cake itself as well, or a bit more sort of flavor play with just the cake itself. I think was really good, but they just needed a bit more flavor oomph to it. It was kind of one of those things that kind of let the whole experience down a bit because it wasn't as interesting as it could be. So for me, this is a really, really amazing cupcake experience, but probably one of those ones that I won't be doing again for a very long time at least, just because I don't feel like the experience is going to be as interesting and diverse if I order it again. But otherwise, yeah. So if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe if you can, or if you like. If you want to, make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know whether I should go try out some other kind of food. I have donuts on my mind, but maybe there's some other cake places or something like that that you think I should really go, if you highly recommend a place. Comment down below and let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
They hold a part of your